Vinay Lakhani with Remax from Toronto. And we're going to talk about the real estate markets in Vancouver and Toronto and really just what has been happening since the pandemic began and where the markets sit today. Because the narrative really at the beginning here was a lot of pent up demand was driving things, but it seems to still be going strong here in November, at least in Vancouver. So just going to explore a bit of that and introduce you to one of my great partners that I send people down to who are moving to Toronto. So and when I look, I gotta say, when I look across the screen at Vinay, it feels like I'm looking at myself in 5 years. I think you've been in the business almost 10 years right now, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's eight. This is our eighth year,
Yeah.
and so we're almost at a decade in selling real estate. So it's quite exciting.
So there you go. I'm coming up on year 5 here, so he's almost twice as long as I'm in this business, and he's got himself a wife and kids. So it feels like I'm just looking into the future. Maybe I'll grow that mustache out too one day. So why don't you tell us about yourself and what part of Toronto you're based in, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity, and I'm so glad that we're doing this again. I know we did it earlier this year, but I thought the first time we did it was a great success, and I'm happy to be here. So, I work in North Toronto, which is North York. Not in the core, but we do business because of our diverse spectrum of clients. We do business in the downtown core and in the suburbs, Vaughan, Mississauga, Peel region and Durham region per se. So anywhere where the Toronto Real Estate Board kind of expands to, we do business in those areas. And been in the business, like I said, for almost 10 years. And yeah, we absolutely love what I do. And just like serving people and making sure that people are getting the best service and getting the best deal possible.
Terrific. And
Yeah.
so, you and I both kind of worked right through all the stay-at-home stuff, just with the proper safety protocols earlier in the year with masks and gloves and sanitizer and distance and all that. And then everyone else kind of caught up to us and got uh, comfortable with the new normal and working that way. How's it been ever since? Because I mean, now what we've seen in Vancouver, at least for the past since June has been everybody pushing out towards the suburbs. And that's where we're seeing the most activity of everything. And I'm unlike yourself, I'm in the downtown core and things are 10% off here, which is unheard of a year ago.
Yeah, so that's a great analysis, and I think our markets are so similar that it like what you just described is kind of exactly what's going on here. So, being downtown now, on driving down on a Saturday night, it looks like a ghost town, and like being in the largest city in the country, it's kind of sad to see, right? And we're seeing a lot of people, since they're able to work virtually, moving into the suburbs, looking for more land, looking for bigger spaces with home offices, because they don't have to come into the office anymore. And a lot of our clients have that work in the downtown core for big companies have said that they've been told that they're not even going to be returning in 2021. So it's been decided that they're going to be working virtually at least for the next year. So that's definitely impacted our freehold markets in the city and in the surrounding areas. And to be quite frank, as far as Windsor, Ontario,
Yeah.
as far as London, as far as these towns, like I'm just speaking with these agents from these other rural areas in Ontario, and they are seeing a great influx of people moving out into those new markets, and agents that have 30 years experience telling me they've never seen bidding wars before. They've never seen the market the way that it is. So it's quite interesting to see, and I really think that in the next 5 to 10 years, that is going to continue to be the trend, because I feel like, and I'm sure maybe you'll agree that we've fast forwarded virtually about 10 years in a year's time, right? In terms of the getting the flexibility to work from, virtually, everybody adapting so quickly, or having to adapt so quickly to the new norm. And it's funny because it doesn't feel like there was a whole lot. There was some pushback in the first couple of months, but I think people just had to adapt, and now it's just become a part of life, right? And it's just become the new thing to do, like what we're doing now through Zoom, right? But I think it's phenomenal. I think it's a great opportunity. These businesses don't have to have huge overheads to staff people. They can have little work areas now. And I think with the announcement of an extra 200,000 immigrants coming into Toronto next year is what they're predicting. I think that these spaces may be used or converted into condo-like properties to help house these immigrants that are planning to come here.
I think you pointed out a really good, an important factor is that the immigration targets have been increased for next year by about 50,000 immigrants in Canada. And really, what with the low interest rates where they are, what's that going to do to prices? It feels like it's going to drive them up further from where I sit. I'm curious, what's going on with your inventory in different product types? Like here, we're seeing like bidding wars on houses or common townhomes,
Yeah.
and condos. Really, the inventory has really climbed, but
Yeah.
it's not a buyer's market by any means. It's still moved. It's only in a balanced market right now. So that doesn't mean the outside of downtown the prices aren't falling terribly. In fact, I want to say the sales are up 2.5% still from last year. It seems like everybody, no matter where you are, what you own, what you're doing, um, there's a reprioritization of where you live and that experience you have in your home. So it's causing just everybody across the board to make a change like we haven't seen ever. This is like a monumental shift.
Yeah, 100%. I think everyone realized that, living in the space that they had was not enough at the same time. And so what we're seeing here in Toronto is a couple of things. So um, I feel like the downtown core condo market has gone up in inventory significantly, and that I feel is due to the um, lack of Airbnbs, lack of tourism. The rental market took a hit at first, and what happened was that the rental vacancies went up quite vastly, which then pushed these investors to all dump at the same time. And so they flooded the market, and now in the downtown core, there is a ton of inventory, and I think we're pushing almost 6 months of inventory in the downtown core
Wow.
with condos. Uh, if you come up north to North York and Etobicoke regions, it's a little bit less. It's a little bit less in terms of the months of inventory, but similar picture is being painted with that respect. Now, the freehold side is completely different. The freehold side has remained low. We've remained under 2 months of inventory, and everything is going to multiple offers. Everything's getting picked up from townhouses to semis, which saw actually the biggest increase in the GTA, Greater Toronto area. The semis were the most affordable option, you could say, without going, past that kind of $1 million mark. But now they're pushing up towards that price point.
So interesting.
Yeah, so
6 months of condo inventory downtown.
in the downtown, we're almost at like 6 months of inventory. Yeah.
Here
So,
we're not even at 4 still, so
yeah.
it's still going though. New listings are up 53%. So just yeah, it's really interesting. I'd be curious to know, because I think you have a good point. I think over the next 5-10 years, people will areas that are an hour and a half outside of that main office hub, like a downtown core, are going to experience a lot of appreciation because they won't have people won't have to commute in every day, come in
Yeah.
2, 3 times a week. So that's definitely like Maple Ridge, Pitt Meadows. Those are the areas in my that or Squamish for or even the Sunshine Coast for areas on the Vancouver side, the West Coast. But I'd love to, this is just pure speculation. What do you think? Do you think it's going to keep going, or do you think we get to a place where we've kind of rinsed through the pandemic experience, um, everyone's safe again, and events are back on, and do people not start pushing back into downtown and feeling like they've gotten bored out in the and that the traffic's picked up? Because I
Yeah,
mean, here we've got Amazon's building a lot of office space, and I'm sure
yeah,
they're going to want to use it.
yeah, for sure. We just got a new Amazon here as well, and I think, look, downtown is where everything is. It's where all the action is. It's where all the bars, all the restaurants, all the main attractions are in downtown. And I don't think that downtown will ever be um, not popular, or not a destination that, especially the younger generation, wants to be. Right? Like what I see is, in at least in the last 2 months, is I looked at it as a great opportunity for my first time home buyers to get into the market. Interest rates are low, and I've had clients get interest rates as low as 1.5%
Hmm.
for, and they're getting condos for 60 to $100,000 under the list price or under market value. And it's a great opportunity for those first time home buyers to get into the market, build equity, because like you said, this isn't going to be around forever. This is going to pass. We're going to get a vaccine. Things are going to get better. And I think things will go back to some sort of normalcy, and the trend will still continue to go upward. And so downtown, in my opinion, is always going to be downtown. And we live in one of the biggest cities in Canada. I think that there's always going to be those units are always going to be filled. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for the experience of meeting in person. We're all thrilled to be able to continue to move forward in our lives through technology,
Yeah,
but also on the other side of that coin is the energy you feel when you're in a room with people is a lot different than what we're doing right now. And
yeah,
people will crave that. There is value to that. And I can see being downtown again being like a really desirable just for the collisions of meeting other people. There's that, and it's an energy hub being in the downtown area. So potentially this is one of those kind of moments where it's like, oh my gosh, I never thought I would be able to get into the market, or I would never be able to get back downtown, or and the
yeah,
windows opened to do that. Because like for here at least, as I was saying, is things are 10% off. It's maybe a little undervalued, and if you're planning to live in it and not rent it out, uh,
yeah,
uh, you just gotta have a roof over your head. So it's a
totally.
good, great opportunity, and I can't understand why some people want to continue to wait and see. But I mean, there'll always be those people at the end of the day. But with interest rates where they are, it can't help but drive prices up higher, especially when
Yeah,
the Bank of Canada's saying we're gonna leave them low for a while. That's the one thing you can be sure of. So
totally, totally. And I agree with you. Like, I think, as our job as realtors is to, a part of it is to, do our job and to help clients buy and sell. But another part is to really educate people
mhm.
about the market, and kind of pass on where we see things are going. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, this is a great opportunity for people to take advantage, not only for like first time home buyers to get into condos, but if you are looking to get out of the city and you do have the opportunity to go to those suburbs and get something right now while the prices are the way that they are, because in a year's time, they're not going to be the same.
Mm.
They're definitely not going to be the same. And interest rates might be the same, but definitely the prices
Oh,
are always trending upwards. So I think there's a great opportunity right now for not only first time buyers but move up buyers to make their move, and so that's my message right now to my clients and my past clients right now.
Absolutely. And I'll, sometimes people think we are self-interested when we say the prices can only go up. But if you look back over the last 20 years, the financial crisis came and left, and it didn't have a lot of impact. We're in the pandemic in the middle of the worst recession. I had seen the finance minister just in recent days, today being November 12th,
Yeah.
2020, say that Canada is actually not the finance minister, but the finance critic for the on the conservative side, saying that this is Canada's economy is the worst performing in the G7 right now, and the real estate prices continue to go up, and it's driven primarily, if not all, by local buyers right now. So I'd be more concerned about what's happening with the cash in my bank account than the price of my home, because to me it feels like with a bank, uh, as of the end of October, the Bank of Canada's purchased over $10 billion worth of mortgage bonds, and they're continuing to buy them, though they've started at a lower rate. And it just feels like our money's going to start to get worth less and less and less. So why not throw that into a tangible asset rather than a currency that, we're not the Americans. Our dollar is not the standard one around the world. It's just something that I'm watching closely for my own financial interests, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
hands
I,
down.
I really love what you said about just the downtown being for younger folks. Because I had joked that I look over at you and I think, oh, there's myself in 5 years, because you've got the kids and you're married, and I'm sort of on that path at this point, but not there by any means. And I always would tell people, I'm living back downtown rather than out in North Vancouver where I kind of want to be, because you can't live in North Van without a wife and kids at least, and compete with all the other realtors because their kids are all in school and they just resonate more. So
Yeah.
downtown made more sense, and then you move out. But there is always that desire to be here for the collisions.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I think I look at cities like Manhattan or New York, especially like Manhattan, and you see the kind of real estate market that they have now. And I really think that, Toronto and Vancouver being the largest cities in the country, they're destined to follow in that footstep, or that, in that manner, because that's where everybody wants to settle. Like, you look across the US, there's maybe 5 massive or 6 massive hubs there that people always talk about, right? And on the East Coast, it's New York, Boston, right? Miami, right? Those are like the main cities on the East Coast. And I think that really the only way for us to keep going is in that way, in the upward direction. Right now in Toronto, this has been the problem for the last, since I've been in real estate, and longer, is the lack of new freehold low-rise inventory. That's been the number one issue.
Is there a lot
And
of
that's,
leasehold out there?
pardon me?
Is there a lot of leasehold out there?
No, it's just it's there's not building as many low-rise homes,
Yeah,
new
okay.
homes, as they are condos. Like, you look in the downtown vicinity, you'll see a ton of cranes in the air, you'll see a ton of buildings going up, but there's not enough houses being built, and that's where the cycle has been broken, because people don't have the opportunity to move and stay in Toronto and move into a home, a detached or a semi-detached, just
Right.
because there has never been enough to fuel the demand that we have, right?
Yes,
So I
we're
think that
building up rather than out.
we're all
We don't
building
have
up.
enough
It's
on the
all
land.
infill. It's all
Yeah.
infill. We have a green belt around once you get past the city, the GTA far enough. There's a green belt which is a restricted area. You cannot build in there. So there's a lot of restrictions that are holding, and there's so much pent up demand still. And I really think that in 2021, now that people are starting to feel a little bit more safe, and knowing that there is a vaccine on the way and people are getting a little bit more comfortable, that I think 2021, and it's on video, it's on record. I think 2021 is gonna be an even bigger year for real estate than 2020.
Heard other people say that as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's lots of positive momentum to be looked at closely. Um, I don't want to drag too long on all the market stuff because it's probably really interesting for guys like you and me, but maybe not as much for folks that
Yeah.
are watching. I'd be curious to know because I don't really know the first thing about Toronto other than what I've seen watching like a reality show or a cooking show. So I'd love to know what's your favorite neighborhood in Toronto? And then I'll maybe ask you a couple other questions.
So my favorite neighborhood in Toronto. Oh man, this is gonna get me in trouble here.
Well, it's probably mostly Vancouver viewership, so you'll be safe.
So I was born and raised in North York. I love the area. I really love the diversity that we have in our neighborhood. If I had to choose one neighborhood, that's a tough question. I'm gonna continue to say North York is my favorite neighborhood.
And why is that?
So I love that you're not like downtown is great, don't get me wrong, but it's just like I like my space, I like my private driveways, I like my my ability to find a parking spot without having to wait half an hour till somebody leaves. So I just love the fact that it's very green. There's a lot of space, and there's everything that you need, right? We have access to downtown if we want to go downtown. I love the fact that we have lots of restaurants, shops, and different cultures, which is obviously anywhere in Toronto you go, but you can literally get everything you need up here. So
How much do you love that private driveway in a month from now when it's got snow on
I still love it. I still love it
it?
because you don't have to worry about where you're going to park when you come home from work.
Yeah.
And we're Canadian. We have to embrace the snow.
No, that's not true. I promise you, that's not true. And tell me, what's your favorite restaurant in Toronto?
Oh, my favorite restaurant in Toronto. I really like. There's a great Portuguese restaurant. It's just before you get into like the downtown core, and they do phenomenal seafood and steaks and that kind of stuff. So it's called Peri Peri, and it's a staple in that community. It's been there around for a very very long time, and great food, great service, great people there, and good wine, which is most important.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you were not in your free time spending it all with your wife and kids, what would you be doing?
If I was not spending time with my wife and kids, I would love to sit down and read a book if I could and finish it from start to finish.
That's amazing. Yeah, totally. I can resonate with having some time to do that. Awesome. Well, I think that's really all I wanted to cover. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you feel like should share with a Vancouver audience? And then I'll get you to shout us out on how to find you online and reach out to you.
No, I think like I said, our markets are so similar, and every time I talk to you and we go through the numbers and the updates, it's almost like a shadow of each other, and our numbers are always very in sync and very in line. So I think we always end up in the same spot, and we always end up kind of seeing that our markets are very very intertwined, even though we're on different sides of the country. But I think pretty much we're all headed in the same direction, and I really think that I hope that people take advantage of what they have now, because in another 10 years, there's not going to be as many opportunities as what I think. So you can find me online anywhere. You Google my name, Vinay Lakhani. TorontoRealEstateGenius.com is my website. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, at Toronto Real Estate Genius. And yeah, if anybody from Vancouver is looking to move to Toronto, I'd be happy to help them out and treat them like I would you, Josh.
Oh, I hope you treat him better than that.